I have Partizan, although in my eyes, the most unpredictable team. And of course, this is the most logical statement probably of what we said in this podcast, because they have completely new roster. And, EuroLeague does those new players posts that every team has. Partizan had like 3 lines of 4 players in each. I think, who else? Maccabi Tel Aviv had kind of similar numbers. Well. So to me, with Partizan, I don't think you can really argue with where you want to put them, because if you say number 6, I would agree, because they're really unpredictable. If somebody says number 12, if Zvezda fan says
that's a prediction.
13,
that sounds like a prediction to put them 6th. More of a prediction.
I don't know. It's just
I power ranking pick, in my eyes.
But they have a lot of good players.
Yeah,
they have a lot of good players. They
have a pretty good coach.
They have a pretty good coach there too. He knows what he's doing.
He's decent.
And what I know is that they're going to look completely different, because I think that team just went away from being a heavy offense-oriented team to a defensive one. And Carlik Jones, we all know what he can do. You have Dwayne Washington, that is a little bit underrated in my eyes, but he can do good things on the court. You have so many defensive players. You have EuroLeague veterans like Lundberg. You have like Isaac Bonga.
Nilikina.
You have Nilikina, another great defensive player. You have Brandon Davis there and Tyreek Jones. Both guys who can defend on the perimeter if wanted. So you can be a real pain in the ass on defense against any team, I think. You have Sterling Brown there, who could basically play 1, 2, 3, whatever position you want. My only issue is about the power forward spot, but I see a lot of interesting names in this team, and I think they're a really high upside team. Although, I mean, you rank them from 8 to 12. I agree
have them at
choice.
number 9.
Okay,
I was thinking a lot about this roster and what are my feelings about Partizan before the season, and there are some really solid names. They signed a lot of quality players. There's no question about it. I mean, I'm on Carlik Jones bandwagon. I'm so happy that he finally signed a EuroLeague contract, because after watching him playing for South Sudan, I was really frustrated that during the season I can't really see him play, because he's somewhere in the G League, somewhere stuck in Chicago, and now it's clear he's going to be one of the main guards for a good EuroLeague team with the best EuroLeague coach.
I think he has potential to be one of the best point guards in the EuroLeague.
I mean, he will be the
Even
scorer.
from the jump.
He will be the scorer. Like, he will take more or less Kevin Punder's role. Like, we saw in these last 2 seasons with Partizan and Željko that it's not about being a true point guard anymore. It's just about being the ball handler, the person who creates. And I think with the help of Dwayne Washington, Ife Lundberg, and if Frank Nilikina turns out to be a good signing, they have a really good guard rotation. However, it's really hard when you replace like 12 players with 12 new players. Even if they're good, it's hard to expect this team to become a dominant winning EuroLeague team all of a sudden, like in the first few months. I think it's going to be hard for them. It will take some time, but if they keep these guys, let's say, for the second season, I would probably see them in a different way. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Like, nobody knows. I'm not predicting anything. But the one thing that I don't like about Partizan right now is that maybe I don't see that strong Serbian core anymore, like in terms of mentality. How many times last year you saw them in trouble and there's all of a sudden Alexa Avramovic stepping up or Alen Smailagic playing some very big minutes? Like, these local players that have a connection with the club, they are very important. And Alexa Avramovic has in some games, he just looked like the heart and soul of Partizan. Right now, the local players that they have, they brought back Vanja Marinkovic, a solid role player. I don't really expect him to shine a lot, but he's going to have his role on the team. Alexei Pokusevsky, I don't know what to expect from him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have no expectations.
What else? Balsa Koprivica. I don't see any strong Serbian leader, captain material, or something like that.
But at the same time, it was never the case with this Partizan. I think that Zvezda had this.
No, but
strong
I say
Serbian
like
core.
Alex Avramovic.
He was
so
a
important.
standout.
He was so
that's
important.
for sure. But others, the role of Serbian players was not as huge as in Zvezda in my eyes.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
I
It's
don't
like
think
basically
that was,
Alexa and Smilagic.
Yeah, I think, and you
Because-
know, you cannot trust Smilagic like a veteran player. You didn't know what to expect from the guy as well. Alexa was more of a confident solution, although he's also quite an emotional player. So it was not the case with Partizan. Regarding the changes you mentioned, I think the number of changes is even more important to address when we're talking about Željko Obradovic's team. For any other coach, the way they play, the style of the basketball, it might be even an easier adjustment. In Željko's world, when he's so detail-oriented, it takes time. And that's what might be one of those question marks, if they will manage to click together quite fast. If you remember when they had KP, Zach Lee, it took one season in the Euro Cup as well, you know, to bond as a team and to be as good as that they almost made the Final Four next year in the EuroLeague. So it might be an issue, but you mentioned this, you know, Serbian character, and I thought that those Serbian players like Alexa being the soul of the team, but at the same time, I think that the new soul of this team at some point is gonna collapse probably. Our studio, or maybe not. It's just wind.
Feels like we're hiding in some bunker or shelter, just deep down underground.
But I think that the soul and the selling card of this team will be different mentality, defensive-minded, high-intensity, high-tempo team. From what I heard from the guys who played against Partizan, they recall that the intensity of the game, the defense, the length, the athleticism of this roster is just insane. And that's the main difference I see comparing those two Partizan teams. Defensively, they were really bad last year. And when you try to be consistent, both on home games, where they have this huge support from their fans, but when they try to be consistent, being defensive liability usually hurts you a lot playing away games. So I think that if they will manage to build a good team defense, because individually they're almost all super good defensively, it might be a new identity of this Partizan teams. From the names you mentioned, for instance, Tariq Jones might be a huge X factor. He didn't have the smoothest, easiest transition in his rookie season in Efes, but in preseason he was huge for Partizan, averaging 16 points. He was grabbing almost every offensive rebound in those games. Other guys like Frank Ntilikina, for instance, some noticed huge change in the way in his confidence shooting the ball, which is very important for him to stretch the floor. So Augustas mentioned that it's probably the most unpredictable team, but if we rank them quite high, I would say like 9th or 8th position, it means that we kind of expect them to do good. Yeah. And that's a good rank in that way.
I expect to see a lot of 67, 62 games for Partizan in Stark Arena, and not like last year's, you know, where they would score 90 but would allow 95 and would have close to zero chance when playing away, because they had like 4 wins, if I remember correctly, last season away from Stark Arena, basically just because of their defense. And seeing this roster, all the things you mentioned, I have high hopes on them.